Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Quisha. On this channel, I like to do makeup mukbangs and more. Now, today is a makeup day. I am showing you my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes. So in my eyeshadow palette collection video, I asked if you guys wanted me to show you my top 10 palettes of all the palettes that I own, and a few of you said yes, so I am here to give you that video. So if you are interested to see my favorite top 10 eyeshadow palettes, please keep watching. How you doing, y'all? All right? I'm good, y'all. So let's get right into this. I do want to say that in my last palette collection video, I actually missed a palette. It was the Crayon Case Box of Crayons palette, so add that to the list, and also add the Spanglish palette by Alamar Cosmetics that I just got. So I think that brings the total to 58 or something like that. I'll put it at the top of the screen here. So if you also want to see my full eyeshadow palette collection, I will put it at the top of the screen here, as well as the description box down below. So let's get into my top 10 favorite palettes. Now, these are in no particular order because I can't do that. It was already hard enough just trying to pick 10 palettes, so don't put any more pressure on me to pick a top 10, to pick to order them, because y'all, I can't do it. The first palette I have here is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Jackie Aina palette. Y'all, I mean, come on. What is there to say about this palette that hasn't already been said? This is just an amazing palette, and it's not just, this works for people of all skin tones, but this is an especially good palette for those with darker skin tones, us melanated queens, okay? This is the palette for us. I love this palette so much. The colors in here are just so gorgeous, and it performs really well. Very pigmented. They blend together really nicely. Just an amazing palette. And look at this detail on the packaging. I mean, look at that. I love Jackie so much, and I was just waiting for her to come out with any kind of palette because I was gonna buy it regardless. I'm also waiting for her candles. I believe they just dropped today, and so I gotta check the website after this. Let me make a mental note. Actually, let me put it on my phone. I believe she just restocked her candles, Forever Mood, so I'm gonna go buy those too. I love Jackie, and I'm here for her. And y'all, if you don't have this palette already, get this palette. You won't regret it, I promise. Alright, so since we're talking about Anastasia Beverly Hills, my next palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. This is the palette I actually used today on my eyes. This palette is gorgeous. I will also say this is melanin girl friendly as well. The colors in here are so gorgeous. This is a really good beginner palette and very good for everyday looks, but you also have shades in here that are going to give you those dramatic looks as well. Next, I have the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette. Get into these shades. I mean, come on. Now, I would not really consider this a melanin girl friendly palette. I mean, sure. These three shades, not so much. So like this I would consider this much of the palette chocolate girl friendly, but I like to use shades like these lighter shades to put like when you're cutting the crease on the inside of the cut crease and stuff like that. I also like to use them for my brow bone and stuff. There's a way to use all of these shades if you have darker skin tone and you're afraid to use a palette like this because you think it's going to be ashy. This palette is not ashy. It smells like peaches, and it's all matte. I love an all matte palette. So, I mean, this palette is just so gorgeous. The colors are very pigmented and they blend together very nicely. The next palette I have to mention is a palette similar to that one, and it's also a lot more affordable. So this is the Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. The color story is very similar. It's also an all matte palette. I think that's why I like this one also, because these are the kind of shades that just really speak to me. This palette is under $20 at Juvia's Place, very highly pigmented, and the colors are just so gorgeous. Obviously, these are just my type of shades. I don't know if y'all can really see a pattern with my favorite palettes, but this is me all day. I've only used this palette a couple of times, and I just knew from the first time I used it that this was going to be one of my favorite palettes. I love colors like this, and the way these shadows perform, you can't complain. My only complaint, which is that it doesn't have a mirror, but child, please. Next, we have the Perception palette by MakeupShayla and Colourpop. Y'all heard me go on and on about this palette in my last video, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. This is a palette that I like to take when I travel. It also just has the basic shades that you need, so I would consider this palette to be beginner friendly. It just has gorgeous shades and all these colorful, beautiful shimmers in here. This shade, Sassy, I've only seen a shade like this in one other palette, and it's also by Colourpop, so that's interesting. But this shade up here, Stallion, I've never seen that before. It's black, but it is very dark blue with blue glitter. Can y'all see that? It is beautiful. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough good things about this palette. I love it so much. Next up, I have the Me, Myself, and Mama Mitchell palette. I love Mitchell so much. He is so talented. He's one of those UK beauty bays where they just do those dramatic, very vibrant looks, and his palette definitely caters to that. It has a magnetic mirror in here that you can pull out, and it's a mirror on both sides. And I mean, look at this palette, y'all. It's the rainbow, okay? It is absolutely gorgeous. My favorite shade in this palette is this shade down here called Mega. Let me swatch it for y'all real quick. Look at that. Look how gorgeous that shade is. The reason I like this palette so much is that it does have every single shade you need, and it is so big, and it has the mirror on both sides. It's a makeup artist's dream. I'm not a makeup artist, I'm just a makeup lover, but this is definitely the type of a palette that would be perfect for a makeup artist. It just has every absolute shade you can think of in here. It's so pretty. I can't get over this palette. I'm so happy I have this, and I got this off of Beauty Bay. I'm not sure if they have it, but if they do, I will provide the link in the description box down below. Next up is the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. Whew. This palette. I talked about this palette so much it caused my power to go out in the last video. I can't get over this palette. I knew, well, actually I didn't know, because I was actually on the fence about getting this palette, but I bit the bullet and I got it when it first came out, and I was so happy I did, because since then this palette is constantly sold out on NYX. So if you can, I highly recommend you get your hands on this palette. There are so many different looks you can get out of this palette. I mean, you have these beautiful teals, these pastels at the top, these golds, these deep beautiful colors down here. It's cool toned. It is beautiful. I absolutely adore this palette. I'm trying not to say I absolutely love all these palettes, but y'all, clearly I do. I love them. They're my favorite palettes. So you're gonna hear me say I love all of these because I do, bitch. So next I have the original Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. Ugh, this palette. This palette right here. This palette, y'all, I actually, when this palette first came out, it was constantly sold out. I had to resort to buying one off of Mercari. I actually ended up getting the original one from Morphe. I just didn't trust the one that was sold on Mercari. I actually ended up sending it back because I got this one from Morphe. It is very dirty on the inside and out. I use this palette a lot. I beat this palette up. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy I have this palette. The shades in here are so pretty. My favorite section of this palette is this section right here. This area right up in here. I love. And then you have these fun pops of colors down here at the bottom. This shade down here, ooh, that shade is gorgeous. Beautiful palette. Next I have the Morphe and James Charles palette. I'm trying to fit myself and the palette. That is how big this palette is. I gotta lean back. I have to lean back to show this entire palette, but this palette is huge. And this again is one of those palettes that just has every single shade you need. It's legit the rainbow in a palette. This shade right here called Artistry, oh my gosh, it's like purple with blue reflex. I'll do a swatch for you here. Get into it. I did a very pretty purple look on my channel here with my sister. We did a 2 girls 1 palette collaboration. I'll put the card at the top of the screen here, and I'll also put the video in the description box down below if you want to really see what this color looks like being put to work. But y'all, I highly recommend that you look for sales on Morphe. They are constantly having this palette on sale, and they also have the mini version of this palette, which is, it's the exact same shades, it's just in a smaller version. So if you don't want this giant, what did Deanna call it, a laptop palette? If you don't want this giant laptop palette, they do have a mini version of this exact same palette on Morphe for half the price. So get this palette. Last but absolutely not least is the Color Rain Queen of Hearts palette. The shades in this palette are beyond gorgeous. Let me swatch this shade right here for you called Noble Woman. Oof. Baby, y'all, so I know y'all see the pigment. Let me also swatch, now I'm having fun. I'm also swatch Royal Highness. These are my 2 favorite shades in the palette. Yo, look how pretty. Everybody needs this palette, everybody. It is just, it's a must have, I feel like, especially if you have melanin in you. So those are my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes. I hope you enjoyed. Do we have any palettes in common? Do you consider any of them to be in your top 10? If so, I would really love to know. Please talk to me in the comments down below. I love talking about stuff like this. I love to see, okay, something just flew in my eye. I love to hear what other people's favorite palettes are. It's just, it's so interesting to me. I love it so much. So please let me know your favorite palettes in the comments down below. I'm always looking to buy new stuff. Also, y'all gave me so many suggestions in my palette collection video. So look out for probably an updated palette collection video because I'm going to buy quite a few of those that y'all mentioned. I'm very excited to try those. And I want to see what y'all like and see what's calling to your heart and your spirit. So that's it for this video. If you liked this video and you had a good time, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below. I talk back. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I go live every other Sunday for Makeup and Mimosas. I will put at the top of the screen here the date of my next live. Please grab a drink and join me. It is so much fun. I would really love to see you there. If you like reality TV show recaps and celebrity gossip and things like that, please follow my other channel, Now We've Said It. I'll put the link in the description box down below. It is also a podcast and you can find that anywhere you listen to your podcast. Google Play is kind of playing with my heart right now, so it's a little bit of issue for our Android peeps, but if you have Spotify, you can listen there instead, or SoundCloud. So, you know, it's everywhere, y'all. Subscribe, give me a listen, talk back to me, give me positive reviews. I love stuff like that. If you have not subscribed to this channel already, what are you doing? Go ahead, hit that subscription box, and right next to it, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.